Get those reactions ready. The show is about to begin.
Yes.
Swing and a miss. Brito with a strikeout. That one's driven to left field and deep, going back his way, turning, looking, see ya! Stanton, high drive, into left center field. There it goes! See ya! A monster shot!
Today is April 2nd, 2023, and it's the first rubber match of the season as the Yankees take on the Giants in Game 3 of a 3-game set in the Bronx. It was also the Major League debut of Jhony Brito. We'll talk about how it all went down, my recap, and your reactions coming up next. This is NYY Recaps.
Welcome.
This episode is brought to you by GameTime. You guys know I don't run an ad unless I personally endorse the product, and that's why I chose GameTime as the sponsor for this podcast. If there's one thing that stresses me out, it's trying to find great tickets to my favorite events without all the hassle and hidden fees. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over your tickets and start getting hyped for all the fun you're going to be having. It's the fastest growing ticket app in the country for a reason. Get images of your seat before you buy, and with just a couple of taps on your smart device, you're all set, and the tickets are sent directly to your phone. Snag the tickets without the stress with GameTime. Download the app, create an account, and use the code NYY Recap. That's all one word, and there's no S. Why? I don't know. $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets. Lowest price. Guaranteed. Welcome back, everybody. First series of 2023 is in the books, and it was a fun one. We had an impressive Major League debut. The captain went deep again. Giancarlo took out the James Webb Space Telescope with a monster home run. But first, we got to talk about the pitching today. Absolutely fantastic job by Jhony Brito. Johnny, be good. Yesterday, we opened the show with a discussion about how unlikely and improbable, easy for me to say, it was that Clarke Schmidt would be the number 2 starter to begin the season. And as remote as that possibility was, it was even more implausible that Jhony Brito would be the Yankees' number 3 starter. He was listed as the Yankees' number 27 prospect. And if there's 26 guys better than this, I want to know who they are. Unbelievable. The fact that these two guys have had to take the ball out of necessity the last 2 days demonstrates to the extent that the Yankees rotation has been just completely decimated by injuries. Brito made his Major League debut today, and, he had a pretty good year in the minors last year, and he had a pretty good spring, but he was fantastic today. Yankee Stadium is a different animal. A Major League team that's trying and fully committed to kicking your ass. That's a different situation than anything he's faced up to this point. He struck out the first hitter that he faced on a nasty changeup. Second batter of the game lined out to center field where IKF was stationed. We'll talk about that more in a second. And then he struck out the final 2 hitters of the second inning and then struck out the side in the third. 5 shutout innings in his Major League debut. Unbelievable. 50% whiff rate on his changeup. That's very, very good. So Isaiah Kiner-Falefa got his first Major League start in center field, I believe. Look, I like IKF. I root for IKF. I defend his contact ability. It's something the Yankees have lacked in recent years, and he had a lot of big hits last year. He hit very well with runners in scoring position, something the Yankees need. But I kind of agree with the masses on this one that the farther you get him away from shortstop, the better. The fact that he was in center field instead of Aaron Hicks, to me, was interesting. Hicks sat the bench again, shows you how much he's fallen off of the Yankees' radar. Look, he was in The Athletic today, and he basically said he doesn't know what his role is. And if you're going to consider IKF higher on the depth chart for center field when it was his first game out there, that's really saying something. So, we'll see how that all shakes out, but it's something to keep your eye on. Yankees left the bases loaded in the first inning. Not a great way to start the ball game offensively, but they did turn it around. Gleyber Torres actually led off the game with a base hit through the right side. Good sign for him early that he's using the right side of the field and beating the shift. You remember the home run on opening day. That was to right field. Donaldson also worked a walk on a couple of really close pitches. I have to admit that the adjustments he's made at the plate, they have me a little bit more optimistic than I was coming into spring training. Jury's still out. We might be able to get at least a few good months out of him until the league figures out and adjusts to that, change that he's made. We'll see. Bottom two, the captain put the Yankees out on top.
That ball is high. It is far. It is gone. A Judgian blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
We got some comments on Hicks's role. Yikes. Lori C says his role is to shut up and do what you're told. I wholeheartedly agree with that, by the way. But solo shot for Aaron Judge, second home run of the season. Tell that man he can't do it again and watch what happens. Challenge a great athlete by telling them what they can't do. If you watch The Last Dance, it's one of my favorite docuseries. It's about Michael Jordan. When he was at UNC, which is just up the road from me, he went to the coaches. He said, I'm going to be the best player out here. I'm going to work harder than anybody on the court. And they said, well, don't talk about it, be about it. And he said, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. I love that scene. It gets me amped up. But look, tell Judge that he can't do it again, that he can't have another MVP season, that he can't hit 60-plus home runs again. Tell him he can't do it. Tell a great athlete what he can't do and watch what happens. That's all I'm saying. Next batter was Anthony Rizzo. He picked up a base hit that 100% would have been an out last season. It was knocked down, but he was able to leg it out. The shift would have gobbled that up last year. We've seen that a couple of times so far. Next batter was Mr. Giancarlo Stanton, and oh my goodness.
Hey, home run for Stanton.
This night is a wrecking machine. The ultimate male versus the ultimate meatball.
Ultimate meatball indeed. One of the truly majestic shots you'll ever see in your lifetime. You might see maybe 5 balls in your life that are hit that far. Live, anyway. I didn't catch what they said his longest home run was. I think he hit one over 500 feet in Colorado when he was with the Marlins, but you have to figure out, the thin air there probably assisted that. Second home run of the year, 485 feet. You see it on your screen there. 25-degree launch angle, 117.8 miles an hour off the bat. Unreal. That one not only took out the space telescope, but it's headed straight to Uranus. So I've been telling you guys, he's going to have a monster year. Everyone around the team is saying it, and I believe them. Please stay healthy. Please stay healthy. That's all we need. Stay healthy. And I can pretty much guarantee he's going to hit 40-plus home runs. Like, that's how comfortable he looks this year. Kyle Higashioka led off the bottom of the 4th inning with a little bit of pop of his own.
There it goes. That ball is high. It is far. It is gone.
First home run of the year for Higgy. Obviously not feeling the effects of the World Baseball Classic. And I don't mean being worn out, because he was not worn out. He just didn't get any at-bats. And that's not easy, to basically go your entire spring training without getting at-bats. You have to imagine that, as the pitchers were trying to get their innings in on the side and things like that, he was probably one of those guys who took a lot of at-bats off of premier pitchers, by the way, who are working. So he probably saw some live pitching, what we would call live action, but didn't have any official at-bats. Look, if we can get Higgy at least a little bit productive this year, that helps us out a lot. You remember the first half of last season, we got nothing out of him. Absolutely nothing. But he looks comfortable. He looks ready to go. Jimmy Cordero put a couple of runners on second and third in the sixth inning, but Marinaccio came in and put out the fire. Really nice job by Marinaccio today. He completely dominated in the seventh inning as well. And look, maybe I'm looking at this through, my Yankees colored glasses, but I see him as an elite relief pitcher that gets overlooked. When you look at how strong he came on last season, 2.05 ERA as a rookie, only reason he didn't factor into the playoffs is because he was hurt. He had that freak injury. But his stuff has been so dominating in spring and so far this season. He's just got elite stuff. I mean, the fastball has a good spin rate. He throws hard. He's got a nasty changeup. He throws strikes. I want to know if you guys agree with me in the chat. And tell me if I'm way off here, because I could be. If there's one thing that's been consistently proven over the years, it's that I tend to be way off from time to time. I think he's an elite relief pitcher in the American League this year. So that's going to help out the Yankees if you can keep him healthy. Bottom seven, pretty cool situation. Anthony Volpe showed a big reason why the Yankees wanted him on this team. He pretty much manufactured a run himself with a little help from Anthony Rizzo. He walked to lead off the inning. Again, very patient at bat, very selective. And then he just tormented the Giants pitcher. His name was Jelly. It was spelled all weird, but his name was pronounced Jelly. And Michael Kay with a great line, spreading jelly thin is what Volpe did there. He just tormented him. Just absolutely wreaked havoc, caused him to throw a wild pitch, ended up stealing third base, third stolen base in 3 games, and then he scored on a sac fly by Rizzo. Just completely manufactured the run. We got our first look at Colton Brewer in this game. I thought he looked good. He throws a cutter. It's a very hard cutter. He's got a sharp slider, and he's got a good overhand curveball, what they call a 12-to-6 curveball. If you're looking at a clock, it goes from 12 to 6. A lot of times you hear these phrases thrown around on the broadcast, but they don't necessarily explain them. So I'll try to do that at least early on in the season so that, if there are some casual fans or some young kids watching, they can kind of pick up on some of this terminology. I do marketing for a living, and a lot of times we talk about TLA, 3-letter acronyms. We throw around acronyms like ROI that, a lot of people who are new just don't understand. And so, we can be guilty of doing the same thing in sports, WAR, WHIP, OPS. There's a lot of that stuff. So be patient. If I use terms that you don't recognize, just pop it in the chat and the community will explain it. Community is great about that type of thing. Yankees hang on to win. They take the rubber match to win the series, 2-1.
Ball game over. Yankees win. Yankees win. You're a winner.
A lot of belt candidates today. You had the captain going deep. You had Giancarlo Stanton hitting one, just left of the Kuiper belt. And then you had a great major league debut from Johnny Brito, who ultimately, in my opinion, is the deserving recipient of the belt. First ever. Congrats.
Belt winner.
This is where Frankie Baseball would typically come in and say, this is his first belt ever. Frankie Baseball is actually at the game today, so shout out to Frankie if he's listening on the way home. Bullpen was definitely sharp today. Jeffrey Cole chiming in, 100% agree. The bullpen is going to be a strength for the Yankees. It's traditionally been a strength for the Yankees. Last year, worn out a little bit by injuries, but we got some great arms out there. Clay Holmes didn't quite have it yesterday. The movement on his sinker was more horizontal than the vertical drop that we're used to from him. I think once he gets that ironed out, I think he's going to be fine. Someone commented that Mike King's velocity was down a little bit, and I noticed that as well. You want to see a little bit more pop out of him. One of the best relief pitchers in the major leagues last year. But again, it was 40-something degrees yesterday, so sometimes pitchers warm up with the weather as well. But ultimately, this was a pretty solid win. Yankees take the series. We got the Phillies coming up. They're, of course, without Bryce Harper. They're without Rhys Hoskins. They do still have Trey Turner. And then we've got the Orioles later in the week. So that one's in Baltimore. You got the first game in Baltimore, and then I think you got a day off. It's one of those Baltimore playing their home openers, so they got the day off because of the weather. And then it continues in the weekend. I think they're off next Friday night. So we will have an NYYPD episode to recap the week. And by the way, new episode of the Yankee Chronicles not coming out this Monday, but because the season began on a Thursday, I'm taking everything from Thursday through, really actually from Friday through next Sunday. So the second episode of the Yankee Chronicles will come out next Monday. So anyway. Temple Jeet says, Brito looks like a young El Duque.
Absolutely. Hey.
They had a great point about the socks. He wears the high socks like El Duque does. Leg kick, a little bit different. Just a little bit different. El Duque had that crazy leg kick, which I can actually still do at 39 years and 11 months. I'll be 40 next month, and I'm going to do an El Duque leg kick because I can still do it, baby. I can still do it. Just my arm will fall off if I throw, but I can still do the El Duque leg kick. I used to do that all the time when I was a kid. Peter Ty says, can't wait to see King pounding the zone again.
Absolutely. Hey.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Let's take a look at the highlights and the box score. Start with the highlights here. Let's go back to the beginning here. All right. So this was a fun one. I mean, Yankees picking up their second shutout in 3 games. That's pretty cool. Pitching was great at the beginning of last season, too. This is Brito with the changeup. That was his first major league strikeout. Top of the zone, good movement vertically. Throws his changeup to righties as well, as you can see, bearing in on the right hand hitter's hands. Love the angle there. This is against the lefty, another down and away changeup. So really good start for him. He gets the fly ball to center field. IKF out there, comes in. Maybe lost it in the sun for a second, but recovers with his speed. Judge getting into one, sending it over the State Farm sign for a home run. Tell that man he can't hit 62 again. I dare you. This was Rizzo. This was the ball that last year somebody's playing right there, and they stab it, and he would have been out. And then, of course, Giancarlo Stanton boldly goes where no man has gone before. I can't remember one going on top of that restaurant before, at least not during the game. We've seen it in BP before, but during a game, I don't think anyone's gone up there. Unbelievable. 485 feet. This was Higgy. High fastball above the zone. And you see, he just tomahawks it for the dinger. This was the sac fly made possible by Rizzo, but also Volpe's excellent base running. And the Yankees take this one. Once again, sponsored by GameTime. This was the last day of the GameTime sponsorship. We got a new one starting next week. All right, so let's take a look at the box score here. Torres 1 for 3. Judge 1 for 4 with the ribby. Couple of strikeouts. Rizzo 1 for 1 with a walk, RBI. Stanton 1 for 3 with a big 2-run shot. Gotta love some of the OPSs so far this year. We got 4 guys off to a good start with the OPS, over 1,000 in the first series. Donaldson 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. Cabrera 2 for 4. My brother actually texted me midway through the game, and he said Cabrera can't hit the high fastball. That's something that we've said on this channel multiple times. He does have trouble with the high fastball, but more importantly, he has trouble laying off of it. But he did pick up 2 hits today. He got a base hit right-handed on a pitch low in the zone. It was a sinker. I don't think anybody's going to complain about a 2-hit day from Oswaldo Cabrera. And you love his energy, you love his defense. So I think the Yankees are going to keep running him out there, even if he does struggle with that high pitch for a while, and just hope that he can make that adjustment. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, we saw the nice play, but took the collar at the plate, 0 for 4 in center field. Higashioka, 1 for 4 with a dinger. And Anthony Volpe also took the collar 0 for 3, but did draw a walk and stole his third base of the season. Johnny Brito, obviously 5 shutout innings. Cordero, Marinaccio, and Brewer combined to shut it down. And the Yankees take this one. Lori C says 530 people in the chat. Let's get the likes up. Andrew says, no fun hat today. You know what? Let's break out the fun hat. Let's break it out. I've been trying to, last year I wore it with every win. But this year I felt like, I don't want to I want to break it out on special occasions, but I feel like a great Major League debut, winning the first series of the year, definitely qualifies.
Game over, man. Game over.
Frankie says, people went nuts around me when Stanton hit the home run. Honestly, that was one of my favorite home runs I've ever seen. Complete no-doubter.
You gotta go.
Hoodie says, love your channel. Always incredible quality. Thanks to folks like you for making it an even better experience for everybody. Really, it's about the audience. I think the only thing that I've done differently than other people is I've really tried to include the audience from the beginning. And frankly, it's like magic. You just spend more time on it than really a normal human being would spend working on something. You want to learn a card trick, you got to do it thousands and thousands and thousands of times. I think just streaming every day, it naturally improves as we go along. I still don't feel comfortable on camera. Still don't like being on camera, but I love doing this. I love putting together a show. I wanted it to exist, and I wanted people to have a place online to gather and sort of shoot the proverbial SHIT after a big win like today. But the Yankees take the series. Junior Caroma is very high on Mike King despite his rough day yesterday, and he thinks that he's going to get better as the season progresses. I really hope so. Mike King was so valuable last year, and I was concerned about the velocity, but I think more importantly we got to get that downward movement from him and from Clay Holmes. But Yankees take this one. They open up a series at home against the Phillies tomorrow. I will see you then. No episode of the Designated Spitters tonight. Pete is up doing he's got a trip with his company, the NYY News TV team. So we're going to do the NYYPD next week, and then we'll get back on the Designated Spitters, rotation beginning next Sunday. All right, guys. I'll see you next time.
Hey, everybody. If you've made it this far, we thank you. If you'd like to support NYY Recaps, please like and subscribe or pay a visit to our Shopify store for some great Yankees merch.
Yes.
If you're watching on YouTube, the link is in the description. But if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, just visit NYYRecaps.shop. If you really want to support NYY Recaps and help keep the show going year after year, join up as a member.
Join us.
It's $5, and members get their names up in lights during each post-game show. We're also on all podcast platforms, Instagram, and Twitch this year. So give us a follow if you use any of those platforms. We're expanding, and we have you to thank for making this such a great community. We'll see you next time.
It is your destiny.
Close.
Ball game over.
Most impressive.